So what do you do after you get a positive skill assessment results? Hello, how are you doing? Barnabas here. Hope you're doing well. If you are new here, I speak about matters to do with migration to Australia. Though please note that I'm not a registered immigration agent. I am not a recruitment agent and I'm not an education agent. I speak about general things that you can actually go and verify from other sources. All right. Now, what do you do after you get a positive skill result? Somebody asked that. I'm going to talk about that today, and I'm going to give you two things that you can do after you get a skill assessment done. So before this video, I've been doing a series, but before this video, I spoke about what you need to do if you want to move here as a skilled worker. The first thing that you need to do is do your eligibility test. This is basically putting in your information there, the information about your academic qualification, your work experience, your age, your English capability, and so that will tell you whether you qualified to come here as a skilled worker. After you do that and you find out that you're qualified, that is if you get 65 points and above, then you can go ahead and look for your skill in the skill occupation list. That means that your skill is required here in Australia, or there's a bit of shortage in your skill here in Australia, and so there is high chances that Australia workforce will need you here. All right. So once you go into the current year skill shortage list and you find that your skill is actually among the listed ones, then you can go ahead and look for the assessing authority that will give you assessment for your skill. Okay. So for example, if you're a teacher and the teaching skill is in the skill occupation list, whether it's primary school, secondary school, or early childhood teachers or educators or tutors, or or lecturers, whatever it is, whatever skill that it is, that it's in the skill occupation list, whether it's accountants, auditors, engineers, chef, and so on. So long as it's in the skill occupation list, the current year's skill occupation list, then you stand a chance of coming here as a skilled worker. In the official immigration website, actually, when you type your skill and the first page of your skill, you will find all that information. You will find the visas that you can come here on. You can find the code that will take you to the requirements for your skill. And also the third thing, you will see the assessing authority for your skill. If you can click, and it will take you directly to the website of the assessing authority for your skill. Now, once you get to the website of the assessing authority for your skill, then you can go in there and they will tell you what they need in terms of documentation, in terms of the fees, and so on, for you to do an assessment. Assessment is basically checking whether your academic qualification, your work experience is equivalent to the standard required here in Australia for that skill. So skill assessment is basically checking whether your academic qualification, your work experience, English capability is to the level that is required here in Australia for that specific skill. And it will vary from one skill to the other. For example, for teachers, for you to teach in Australia, you must have an a higher English capability. For example, in IELTS, you have to score at least 8 in listening and speaking, and at least 7 in reading and writing. All right, that is because you will communicate with students here and children here, and so they will require that you know how to speak. And you'll also have to listen to the kids here, so they will require that you have a high level of listening skills. All right, so it depends on what skill you are. So you can see it's different from one skill to the other. For English capability, for accountants, for example, you will need only a minimum of 7 across the bands if you're doing IELTS. Now, generally, after you apply for skill assessment, you might get 2 emails. The first email would be the one that tells you you have so many number of years of work experience that is skilled. All right. Skilled work experience is deemed as skilled when it is after your graduation for that skill. Okay, so as a teacher, if you began teaching before you graduated with a degree in education, those years before your graduation does not qualify as skilled work experience. All right. So a skilled work experience has to be after graduation, and it has to also be relevant. It must also be relevant to the skill that you're being assessed on. So for example, if you had some administration work as a teacher, those ones will not qualify. It must be teaching. All right. If you are an accountant and you had some experience in auditing, and you're being assessed for accountants specifically, those other qualifications or those other experiences will not be deemed as work experience. All right. So your work experience has to be relevant to the skill that you're being assessed on, and it must be also skilled. It must be after your graduation. Okay. So the first email will tell you the number of years of work experience. And this is important because it will give you the scores. Okay. The second email will be email about your academic qualification. All right. It will tell you that your academic qualification is of a certain level. So if you applied, it will either tell you, okay, your degree in education from XYZ university qualifies to be at the level of undergraduate degree in Australia, for example, or masters. Your masters from XYZ university qualifies as at the level of master's degree in Australia. So you're also going to be scored or graded according to the level of academic qualification that you have. The higher level of academic qualification that you have, the more points you will score on that category. All right. So for PhD, score higher, masters, and then degree and diploma as you go down. All right. The higher qualification you have, the better. All right. So that those two emails will tell you what points you score on those two, on work experience and on academic qualification. So once you have that positive skill assessment, let's say you don't have a positive skill assessment. Okay, what do you do from there? They will tell you what you haven't scored. If it's academic that has not qualified, then you will have to probably just come here and study. All right. If it's work experience, and probably you need to go and work more, get more work experience, and then so that you have so many years of work experience, and then you can reapply. So that will depend on what you see on those two emails. But assuming that you have qualified, all right, that you have a positive skill assessment results, then what do you do from here? Many people think that once you get skill assessment, then you can just get a job. So the way skill assessment work is you come with a visa and without a job. All right, I'll explain that. So then what do you do when you get a positive skill result? Now you can do two things. Okay, once you get a positive skill results, you can do two things. Number one, now you can start applying jobs, but this time round, apply jobs and you have some advantage. Now you can use any job search engines and look for those jobs that have been advertised in Australia, and more specifically to those jobs that they have stated that they are ready to sponsor. All right. So once you get those jobs, apply those jobs and state, in your application, tell the potential employer that you have done the process of skill assessment and you have a positive skill result. You can even attach documentation. All right. And so you will entice employer that you're actually in a very high level. You're actually ready to come. You're very close to getting your visa. And if you get a very good employer or a desperate employer, then they might take it up from there and help you with the rest of the process, because it's very close. Once you get a positive skill result, it's really, really close. So you can do that. And this is advantageous because while the other process that I'm going to talk about will make you come to Australia without a job, this one, if you go and apply jobs while you're still overseas and you've already had your skill assessment done, you might be lucky to get this employer to process the rest of your process, which is almost the very last process, okay? And also give you a job straight away. So you will be landing in Australia and with a job. And that's a perfect way to come to Australia. While that's not very easy or very common, but that's a perfect way to do it. You apply for a job, you tell them that you've already done skill assessment, you have a positive skill results, you're ready to come, and you ask them if they can help you with the rest of the process. You might be lucky to find a very good employer and take you through the rest of the process. All right, while that's the best, it might not be very common. Now, the other thing that you can do is straight away do what we call expression of interest. Expressing interest simply means that you're telling immigration department in Australia that you're ready to come to Australia. You've already had a positive skill results. Put your documents, put your information in there, and wait for you to be invited to apply for a visa. All right, so express your interest and wait to be invited for a visa. Then when you get invited for a visa, then you have a time period to apply for the visa, and you get your visa and you come to Australia without a job. All right, so that's the other way to do it, or that's the most common way to do it. So you get to do expression of interest, wait to be invited to apply for a visa. You apply for the visa, and then when you get a visa grant, off you go, you come to Australia. That's the most common. All right, we'll talk about the rest of the procedures next, but please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, support me as I try to, talk about these things and talk about other issues as well. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also please follow me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and other social media platforms. All right, till next time, my name is Barnabas, the son of encouragement. Bye-bye, and God bless you.